Hello, everybody. We're back on Behind the Internet today. So, if you caught us last time we were on, this is what we're calling season two of Behind the Internet. It's been switched up just a little bit. We've got some new hosts, some new guests. So, today you have me as your host. My name is Susie. I am the social media coordinator here at Whisper. And then we have a guest with us today, Audrey. If you want to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Audrey Gonzalez, and I am a therapist and the senior director at Counselors Associates.
Awesome. So we thought that today it would be interesting to talk about the effects of social media. So I've been seeing some stories over the internet about, I think, Instagram in particular, but it's been a conversation, I think, as long as social media has been around of whether or not it's good for your brain and all of the things that go into that. So I just wanted to touch on a couple of things today, and I thought you would be a wonderful person to ask. So I just want to touch real quick before we start on some of like the positives and negatives that people generally think of when they think of social media, and then I have a couple questions for you. So feel free to jump in anywhere. But
Sure.
and for anybody in our audience, if you have any questions for me or for Audrey, you can put those in the comments, and we can get to those as we go along. But so I looked at a couple of articles from a couple of big universities that have started to look into social media and what it does to our brains and to our mental health. And there's actually more positives than I was anticipating, especially in the last year or so. It's been a great way for people to stay connected since we couldn't really do anything outside of our house. So having that social media connection was actually really beneficial. Also cited that it helps people find new friends and new communities. So maybe there's not a, Dungeons and Dragons community where you are, but you might be able to find one on Facebook of people with shared interests. A lot of charity work and, promoting causes and fundraisers happens on social media as well. And it's a great creative outlet just in general of self-expression and photography and sharing your artwork and things like that. But there are also probably a couple more negatives, at least in my opinion. So it can lead to a lot of comparison, comparing yourself to other people. They say that nothing you see on the internet is real, but it's hard not to believe that when you see somebody's beautiful vacation photos or, photo shoots, whatever it might be. It can also lead to feelings of isolation. If you're staying on a little bit too long, you start to feel less connected to those family and friends that you were trying to get along with. There's also always the problem of cyberbullying in kids and adults. And it can lead to, feelings of, I don't want to say narcissism, but a little bit self centered of, focusing more on the content that you're portraying than maybe more what you're actually doing in your life to begin with. I also found some interesting like medical studies that it does genuinely like affect your actual brain. It'll affect your attention span. It affects your short-term memory, which I didn't know. Um, but yeah, all of that in something that we think is like just such a way of life now. Like everybody has a social media of some sort, regardless of what it is. So I guess, what are your just general feelings on it? What do think about social media as a whole?
Yeah. Well, I not to make assumptions, but I'm going to assume we probably went through some similar phases in life where we've kind of experienced both sides of this, right? Where
Mhm.
we maybe didn't always have social media, but we also had it in its early days of when it existed. Like I remember being so excited to get my first Facebook and like rearranging my top 8 on MySpace and
Mhm.
um it's something that was just so new, and I feel like this is really common where technology moves so fast that then there's not laws or you know people taking they don't understand it enough to be able to teach young people about it, different ways to look at it. And even now as an adult, like I have many social media accounts of different kinds, and I don't see them as fully positive or fully negative. I'm well aware of both sides. I'm like you. I was a little surprised to see some of the positives that were outlined when I was looking into. I attended like a preliminary data sharing of a
Mhm.
research study. I think it was last year during the pandemic sometime. And I was so shocked to see that actually there was some significant positive data coming out about social media in relation to suicidality in young people,
Okay.
and how having these online communities that they can connect with and feel like they're not alone was actually really protecting for them. Now, obviously, this is not going to be the case for everybody. And I have had many the child come through my office where they've ended up in like a Discord or somewhere where, really negative things were being said and it was kind of like feeding off of each other. So this is not like a, yes, everybody let your teenagers have whatever they want. But there are definitely, everything you listed is definitely a positive. And what I think is more important for us to focus on versus debating the evil or greatness of social media is more approaching it with a different mindset, being able to be mindful about how you feel on each platform that you use. Like, do you feel a lot of anxiety after using Instagram because you do feel like you're comparing yourself to others versus something like Reddit that has less picture sharing? Does that feel a little bit more comfortable for you because you can still get stories and information and interests, but you don't have to feel like you're looking at the most beautiful things ever and wishing that you were doing that? However, it's just something that I don't think that young people, especially, but even adults, are really used to just focusing their perception a different way instead of going at it as like, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. Like, I need to have my picture look this beautiful because this person looks this beautiful in this picture. But just being able to step back and acknowledge, like, this probably isn't what their life is like. But even if it is, like, I'm happy for them and that's okay. Not like a toxic positivity thing, but more like acceptance, just being
Mhm.
able to acknowledge that everybody's different and what works for some people doesn't work for every single person. And of course, we've all, I'm sure, seen the stories about, the couple that goes on their honeymoon and then they break up because the newlywed spends more time planning out their selfies than they do spending
Yeah.
time with their new significant other. But how common those stories are, I don't know. I mean, we know that the media likes to sensationalize things that are going to have people pay attention. Like somebody being like, people use social media in the totally normal, balanced way is not going to get a lot
Yeah.
of clicks.
Right. So I guess so follow-up question, how do you feel about people like I'm taking a Facebook break or I'm taking an Instagram break? Do you think that those are helpful? Do you think that do you recommend that to people if they're starting to feel like overwhelmed by the social world?
Yeah, I have before, for sure. I mean, it goes with the mindfulness of just asking yourself. And I read something that recommended people even keep a log if they notice that they're spending a lot of time scrolling, like keep a log for yourself. Okay,
Mhm.
I scrolled on Facebook for a while and then just taking a little bit of time afterwards to essentially like look inward and say, how do I feel right now? Like, do I
Mhm.
feel rejuvenated? Do I feel um a lot of anxiety? Do I feel depressed because like people are
Okay.
doing things and they're sharing things and I'm not doing all the things I wanted to do? And if you notice it's more overarchingly than negative, then yeah, taking some time to pause. I mean, that's not going to be the best thing for every person. Some people may just want to deactivate it completely. And I can't say I've never gone back and forth about it,
Mhm.
but for myself personally, I think like, oh my gosh, there's some family and family friends and just friends in general that I would legitimately not have contact with if it weren't for social media. So those
Mhm.
are things that you kind of have to weigh out as pros and cons sometimes. And people can say that's sad if they want to, but the fact of the matter is that that's what our world is like. Instead of fighting against it 24/7, let's find a way to make it work for us.
Yeah, so if somebody was, having a little bit of anxiety about Facebook, but maybe doesn't want to delete it or Instagram, but doesn't want to delete it for any reason, how would you, go about focusing more on the positive and not getting so stuck on the negatives about the
Yeah.
socials?
That's a good question. Where I would start is asking them, is there what kinds of accounts are you following? Are there people on your Facebook that you could maybe unfriend or unfollow or hide them or snooze them? There's so many
Mhm.
features anymore that you can do. I know Facebook also has the option where you can choose the specific people that you want to see in your timeline. So
Mhm.
everybody else, you're still friends with them, but you can only see the stuff that these people put out. So maybe you choose the people that are more positive or purposely don't choose the people that are kind of negative. And for Instagram, I do this pretty regularly, especially with my teenagers and young adults, specifically mostly around body image. This is when it comes up. You know, are you following body positive accounts, or are you following people who are perpetuating unrealistic expectations? And that's really hard for you. I mean, people can post whatever they want on their social
Yeah.
media technically, but if you know and you can identify it's not good for you, then let's work on eliminating some of those things. And I know for teenagers especially, one of the most common things is being a part of these private stories. And I have had those conversations like,
Oh.
what benefits are you getting out of being in that person's private story? You know, maybe they're posting a lot of things that you want to help with, and maybe they're like your ex or your ex friend, and so you feel like either of you feel like that's not your place, but you're still seeing it. That can be a hard place to be. If it doesn't serve you, then why stay in there, you know? So those are the types of things that I would explore in a session with somebody for sure.
Yeah, I know I've seen a lot of things about curating your feed, especially for things like Instagram, like you said, for body image or for anything really, that you don't have to follow those people. Like if it makes you feel bad, you can unfollow them. You know, don't be afraid to
Yeah.
unfollow your Aunt Karen. Like it's fine. You don't have to see everything that they post all the time if it's going to be more detrimental to you than
Mhm.
positive overall.
Yeah, and things have changed so much too because, you know, when I first got on social media, it wasn't, I mean, that I knew of, it wasn't really a thing for people to make like fake accounts or alternative accounts, you know. And now that's such a normal thing. And I know it's even happened to me where I'm following one thing and then later on I'm like seeing this weird post and I'm like, why would I have ever followed this? And it started as one thing and then somebody bought the account and was
Mhm.
like doing something else. So, you know, it's not like it's not a perfect science because you may think you're only following so many things and then whoop, it's going to sneak in there and there's something
Yeah.
else that you don't want to see. So it may just be an ongoing thing too. You see that and you're like, oh, what's that? Just unfollow it.
Yeah, exactly. I do that constantly of things, and I'm like, when did I ever like a page about this? And it'll be something that you go back and look, you're like, oh wow, that's from like 5 years ago, and it's completely gone off the rails. So I don't know if there's any way to really assess if the positives outweigh the negatives of socials in general. But what would you say like a healthy social media use looks like, if there's even a way to begin to summarize that?
Yeah. That's still just so hard to answer like a black and white kind of thing because
Mhm.
it might depend on the person. I mean, we have people whose whole career revolves around them being on social media, right? Social media management is an actual job
It's
now.
my job.
And yeah, exactly. So, you know, if you're thinking about, okay, what's healthy or not healthy, like you're automatically going to be put in the unhealthy
Yeah,
range if we put a number on it, right? But
right.
you don't have a choice about that. Well, you could get a different job, but that's probably
Yeah.
not what you want to do. Um, and also, it's just really going to depend on the person because some people could spend a large amount of time and not really be negatively impacted. Other than, you know, the sciencey part of the brain and stuff, it's
Mhm.
kind of hard to fight with that part. But you know, and there's other people that it may just all of it may not be good. I mean, it's not unheard of for me to deactivating things like Facebook seems to be a lot more common recently. Um, and then I know people that are just not interested or they have it and they like rarely get on it or rarely check it and they forget they even had it. You know, people can put a lot of barriers in place, removing them all the apps from their phone and only getting on a computer or through the
Mhm.
browser on their phone. Like you have to actively go through the process and then you are kind of questioning like, do I really want to go put in my password and everything
Right.
multiple times to get there? Um, but there's a lot of things out there to help you with that. I have some people, and I did this for a little bit where there was an app. what was it called? I don't remember what it was called, but it would count how many times I would pick up my phone and then also the
Yeah.
screen time.
Mhm.
Um, and it was almost like it became like a game with myself, like how low can I get it? So
Right.
when I noticed like I was spending a lot of time, that was something that helped me maybe decrease it a bit, especially over the pandemic. I mean, what else did we
Yeah.
have to do?
True.
So then now though, I can just tell like if I find myself just getting caught doom scrolling and I just know
Mhm.
I can just for me, I can feel it in my body. And I would imagine most people can if they were a little more mindful about it.
Mhm.
So doing some guided meditations or deep breathing or just taking some time to center yourself and kind of ask like, okay, how am I feeling right now? Can be a big help in figuring out what's healthy for you. And then I notice for myself, if I start feeling kind of like this heavy chest feeling, I'm like, okay, I've been spending too much time scrolling right now and I'm going to go crochet or, you know, um, get on my exercise bike or I don't even know anything
Yeah.
else that I could do that I enjoy doing, not something I don't like
Right.
to do, but what else can I do to help kind of energize and rejuvenate myself instead of getting sucked into the same thing?
Yeah. I think, yeah, like you said, you kind of get into a rhythm. You realize when it's been too much for you and you're like, I need to take a break. But what would you say if you had, a friend or a child or somebody in your household that you think might be getting to a point where it's been a little too much for them? Is that something that you would approach with someone to go up and be like, "Hey, I think you need to take a break," or is that better left to them?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, if it's impacting you in some way, let's say it's an adult, like a friend,
Hmm.
um, like if you find that every time that you're with them, they're like the whole time, they're not making eye
Yeah.
contact, they're not hearing what you're saying, obviously at that point it's impacting you. But instead of being like, hey, I think you're addicted, it would probably make more sense to have a conversation about how it makes you feel when they're looking at their phone the whole time, or if you don't feel like they're hearing you, or if they truly are not hearing you and you're having to repeat
Yeah.
yourself, because that's probably going to be frustrating for most people. So having a conversation about that. For the kids, if you're the parent, that's a little different because you are going to have a little more say over what they're doing. There's a lot of options out there for kids monitor or parents monitoring things for kids. And one of the most common ones that I've heard with like schools and parents using is the bark notifications.
Okay.
Um, and it, I don't know enough about it to know if it specifically would monitor how much time. There might be a thing where it can shut off after a
Mhm.
certain time. I know there are some things that do that. But it does comb through like what they're looking at and what they're talking about. And it's not like you can go in and read everything, but that's most people don't use it that way. They rely on the notifications of like
Yeah.
did they mention that they want to hurt themselves, or are they
Mhm.
sending inappropriate pictures, or are
Yeah.
they getting inappropriate messages? And then the parents get, or the school, whatever, gets the notification, and then they can go and address that with the kiddo. Um, but if they notice, I mean, some basic protocols probably would go a long way just in the household. Popular ones: no phones at the dinner table for
Mhm.
everyone involved, not just the kids.
Yeah.
Asking teenagers to turn their phones in before they go to bed at night is one that I see in studies over and over and over. And um, I really do support that. I think there's definitely a lot of things. And obviously, there's going to be times when some kids may use it for sleep stories or sounds and things like that. And you may have to
Yeah.
find other options. But just having some basic things in place can go a long way with that.
Yeah. I In my house, we try to stay off our phones for about an hour before we go to bed, mostly just because the blue light will keep you awake. But I think sort of a similar, you'll get stuck doom scrolling and you won't be
Yeah.
able to go to bed.
But going back to, I really feel like one of the things we missed out on as a culture, society so early on because we didn't know, and you can't know things
Mhm.
until you know them, but
Yeah.
just teaching people how to challenge the perception of social media and not seeing everything as gold.
Yeah.
Just because somebody says it doesn't mean, like, realistically and logically, we know that somebody's life is probably not super fabulous 24/7.
Mhm.
Like, They probably argue with people sometimes. They probably have negative emotions sometimes. But also, even if people weren't fake and did post those things on their social media, that would be kind of uncomfortable for people too.
Yeah.
If somebody's always posting negative things, there's not really a win here. Like, it's kind of a lose-lose situation. Um, so really just challenging how you look at things that you consume on social media and recognizing that it may not be everything that it's presented to be, but is it really meant to be that deep? Or is it just like, here's a pretty picture that I took, you
Yeah.
don't have to read anything else into it?
Yeah, that's true. I think we forget that sometimes that, this person is not necessarily trying to show you up. They're not trying to make a point. They just really liked that picture. Or, along the same lines of like a fake news situation, like is there's probably more to it. If that person is only ever talking about how wonderful their life is, like, maybe, A, maybe they don't want you to know. And B, it it might not be real, might not be entirely 100% fact, and so we need to not judge ourselves or other people on whatever else we happen to see floating around the internet.
Yeah. And the community aspect, like you talked about earlier, is pretty amazing. I mean, that part, especially for adults, so often I have adults and they're like, how do you make friends as an
Yeah.
adult? Like in school, they're just like there, you have classes or you are doing the same sports or organizations or something like that. And so this is a common thing. And, you know, like I said, I don't see it as all good or all bad because sometimes I am so thankful for things like, what is it called? Like there's a meetup app or something like that. I don't know. I
Mhm.
mean, people, if they like to do puzzles, like there's a group for that. And you can go
Yeah.
find people who also like to do puzzles. And obviously you need to do your due diligence and making sure things are safe as much as you can. But it's just so nice that whether they're like across the world or in the next town over, you can find these people that have similar interests. Like you said, if you're into Dungeons and Dragons and that's not a thing where you live, you can play it online now with other
Yeah.
people. That's amazing.
Yeah, I know during the height of quarantine, one of the groups that I found that I actually spent a lot of time in was a group called View from My Window, and it's like an international group that's literally just like pictures from people's back porch, but it was so cool to like, I had nothing else to do, stuck in my house all day every day, to like look and see people's view from like their, Paris apartment or their really pretty lake house in Michigan. Like it was just cool and people would comment on it, be like, "Wow, I love your flowers," or what a beautiful lake. My cousin lives there. Like it was just a nice sort of distraction to like, oh yeah, look,
Yeah.
there's people that also just like looking at the scenery sometimes.
It helps like break things up too. Like I'm a part of a couple like super random ones. Like one's called Dog Spotting, and it's
Mhm.
just people posting their dogs. Like I love
Yeah.
it. It's so great. I love to see a cute dog. And then I'm in like a crochet one where people just post what they're making or they're like asking questions, and
Mhm.
it's just nice. Like I like to be able to scroll through if I'm taking some time to do that and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna save that pattern. Like that's
Yeah.
great. Like, oh my gosh, or like compliment what somebody did. Like it's great for that kind of thing sometimes. You can find community in places where you may not have otherwise been able to do that.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're on TikTok at all or if you spend a lot of time there, but I didn't think I would. In the beginning, I was like, oh, why would I? That's for children, it's teenagers doing, whatever. I don't care. I think had I not gotten a TikTok at the beginning of quarantine, it would have gone very differently. And for like, I had such a positive experience with it. And I think people kind of like wrote it off as like, oh yeah, there's nothing there. But there's a lot of creators that I follow that are absolutely wonderful. There's a lot of body positive creators. There's a lot of like even just like hobbyist creator or like book talk. I spent so much time on book talk. Like I wouldn't have started reading again if I hadn't have gotten so many recommendations of like, oh, try this book, try this whatever. So I
Yeah.
thought that was fascinating. I didn't expect to find that on a platform that was essentially made for teenagers of
Yeah.
like, yeah, or like psychology TikTok is absolutely a thing. Therapy
I've
TikTok is
heard, yeah,
absolutely a
mental health
thing.
TikTok is
Yeah,
like
it's
very popular.
wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm not
really
on
cool.
TikTok. I'm avoiding it because I don't need another thing to scroll through. But I have heard my friends do send them to me, and so I get that ad afterwards of like the guy and the girl calling her dad. I don't know. It's just like the
Yeah.
same ad every time. But yeah, I mean, it's just amazing the things that you can find for sure. But we spent a lot of time talking about the positives. Some of the other things on your list that I did find interesting coming across in my own research, that FOMO, that fear of missing
Hmm.
out, is very much like, I didn't think about it this way, but once upon a time, if Susie and Gretchen made plans and didn't include Matilda, like she wouldn't
Oh, yeah.
know unless somebody told her later on when she went to school, like the next week if they did something over the weekend without her. But like now, if with social media, if they're like posting things and she can see it real time, and it's not like those feelings wouldn't be there,
Yeah.
but I often have kids that are kind of like stewing in that. Like it's really hard for them and they're like watching, they cannot stop they can, but they're not stopping
Right.
themselves from, you know, continuing to watch that
Yeah.
in like real time, like feel so bad they're left out.
Yeah. I think, the adult version of that, I have a lot of, acquaintances, not friends, but that follow exes or follow friends they don't talk to anymore and just do it to upset themselves. Just to like wallow in the, oh, he has a new girlfriend. Like, kind of similar. You get stuck in that, you know, people that maybe you don't want to like or you don't have a connection to anymore, but you still follow them and they pop up every once in a while. You see them doing things without you. Kind of a
Hmm.
similar vibe.
Definitely. Or like a popular one is going to the comment section on news stories.
Oh my god.
You always
Yeah.
regret it, but you
It's never a
sometimes you
good
just do
idea.
it anyway. Yeah. So that was just a really interesting one, though, that I hadn't considered before. And like I said, I'm sure the feelings would still be there, but they're different and they might feel a
Hmm.
different intensity when it's like constant. It's not just like hearing that they had a sleepover without you over the weekend or they went to the movies without you. It's like literally watching all the fun stuff they're doing
Yeah.
and like thinking about it and sometimes even messaging them being like, why didn't you invite me? Like it's so much more intense sometimes than
Hmm.
maybe it would have been.
Right. Getting to actually see it, watching the, Instagram stories or Snapchats, or don't even want to get into Snapchat. There's a lot
A
to
lot.
talk about there.
Oh yes, I know. It's like the messaging preference now. And I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, honestly, I don't know how you do it. I would forget what I sent to that person. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Too confusing for me, but maybe I'm not the target audience.
yeah, I definitely was like, now I've hit old.
Yeah.
As soon as I had those thoughts, I was like, this is the time when you shift into being old by
Right.
your teenage standards.
Right. As soon as you're like, oh, I don't get that. Oh no. Like I'm the one now. It's me. But I did see some interesting stats while I was looking around that social media use has like kind of skipped the like middle millennial generation. It's more like younger kids and teenagers, and then like, our parents are more the people on it. And that like middle where it kind of came up when we were in like, middle school, high school, it was just starting to get popular. We're already kind of over it. We're like, yeah, that's great. Been there. We've seen enough. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely am going to be interested to continue seeing the studies on the differences and how it's impacted these generations that have had it the entire time, and it's just it's going to be interesting to see the impact on that. And like you said, when you were looking up the changes in the brain, I remember reading an article once that talked about, I mean, anecdotally, it told a story about a workplace, and all these young people were so legitimately addicted to their phones and the screen time that while they were typing on their computers, they would have their phones propped up they had like a little spot in front of like their keyboard, and they would prop up their phone so they could like scroll and then type and then scroll and then type, or they would like pick up their phone and reply and then get back to work and typing, and they're like doing them simultaneously.
Yeah.
And you could make an argument as long as they're getting their work done. It doesn't matter.
Right.
But what internally brain chemistry wise is going on there?
Yeah, it's crazy. I think the like attention span that it will permanently alter your like the way you consume media is crazy. Like I notice it. I can't sit and watch a whole movie anymore. I'm bored. I'm like, where's my phone? I need to do something. And I catch myself doing it though, so I can be like, I need to stop. I need to just watch the movie. Like reading my book, do not pick up my phone. It didn't make a noise. Don't you look at it. Like, but it definitely does. It's fascinating. I hope it's not affecting my memory. That one's a little concerning. But I guess we'll find out in the long term.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that is about time for us. It's right about 3:30. So, just if you have anything else that you want to add, or if you want to throw out, any information in our last couple minutes here.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I am a therapist, and this is something that comes up pretty regularly, and I know I'm not alone there. So if you feel like you maybe do want to talk about whether it's your social media usage or just the impacts of our society and culture and the pressure that comes with these things, or maintaining a better work-life balance, or scroll life balance, or whatever it may be, we're here to help with that. It's not all super doom and gloom all the time. We're here to help with whatever. So like I said, I'm with Counselors Associates, and we have multiple locations. We're in Shiloh, Maryville, Troy, and then across the river in Missouri as well, currently Creveport and Clayton. So we can serve people all over, and we are using the internet to our advantage and doing virtual sessions right now as well as in person. So we're here to help in really any way that we can.
Awesome. Well, I want to give a quick event shout out. Whisper is having their trunk or treat on Thursday, and I know some of the Counselors Associates folks are participating in that as well. So that's going to be fun. If anybody's interested, we just unloaded a whole truckload of candy. So it's going to be fun. Quick shout outs for the show. We do have a YouTube channel if you want to see our other episodes. Like I said, Audrey's been on before. We've had other ladies from Counselors Associates on in other episodes too. You can catch up on those. They are also all still on our Facebook. If you think of any questions regarding social media and mental health that you want to throw out there, you can leave them in the comments here. Even if we don't get to them right now, we will find a way to get back to you. If you have any concerns, we'd be happy to help. And we have another show coming up in a couple of weeks with some of the Whisper folks, so stay tuned for that. I will get the dates for you here in a little bit for our general audience. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll come back for the next one. All righty. Bye, everybody.